Assalamualaikum. JIM 212 e-lecture series. Still in the first chapter, and for this e-lecture we look more on the example of regression, simple linear regression. And as what we have discussed in previous e-lecture, what is simple linear regression and what is the use of regression. And for this lecture I just focus on more example on how to estimate the equation for simple linear regression. So basically, estimated simple linear regression equation is y hat is equal to a plus bx, where a is the y-intercept of the line and b is the slope of the line, and y hat is the estimated value of y for a given value of x. Alright, so this is how to estimate the parameter a and b. So to estimate the value of a, the formula is the sum of y multiplied by the sum of x squared minus the sum of x multiplied by the sum of xy divided by n multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x square. And to find the b, we have to use this formula: n multiplied by the sum of xy minus the sum of x, the sum of y, divided by n multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x square. Alright, example. Find the equation of a regression line for the following data. So this is from previous example in previous lecture. We already find the correlation coefficient between these two variables, age and net wealth, and now we proceed to find the equation of the regression line. Alright, from previous example, we already calculate the value of the sum of x, the sum of x square, and so on. So now we just have to substitute all the values in the formula to find the estimated parameter of a and b. Alright, from the previous example, the sum of x is the sum of x is 638. The sum of y is equal to 34.6. The sum of x square is equal to 51402. The sum of y square is equal to 172.7, and the last one, the sum of xy is equal to 2764.4. To find the value of a, the formula is the sum of y multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x multiplied by the sum of xy, all this divided by n multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x, all this we have to square. Okay, now we just have to substitute the values. The sum of y is 34.6 multiplied by the sum of x squared is 51402 minus the sum of x is 638 multiplied by the sum of xy is 2764.4 divide by n is 2468 multiplied by the sum of x square 51402 minus the sum of x is 638, and all this you have to square. Okay, now you just have to simplify this. For numerator, the value is 14822, and for denominator 4172, and the answer is 3.553. And to estimate the value of b, the formula is the sum of n multiplied by the sum of xy minus the sum of x multiplied by the sum of y divided by n multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x square. So the sum of x square. Okay, substitute the values. N is 8. The sum of xy is 2764.4 minus the sum of x is 638. The sum of y is 34.6 divided by n is 8. The sum of x square is 51402 minus the sum of x is 638 square. Okay, now you just have to simplify. For numerator, the value is 40.4, and for denominator is 4172, and the answer is 0.00968. So the question asks you to find the equation of the regression line. So the equation is y hat is equal to a plus bx. So y hat is equal to a is 3.553 plus b is 0.00968, x is x. So this is the equation for the regression line for this set of data. Okay, next example. The question now asks you to find the regression line for this data. So this is not from the previous example. That means you have to find all the information needed before we can apply the formula. Okay, first step, you have to find x squared, y square, and also xy. Okay, so x square is 60 square, cos is x, and grade is y. So 60 square is 3600, 70 square is 4900, 80 square is 6400, 85 square is 7225, and 90 square is 95 square is 9025. And next row, you have to find y square. So for the first data, y is 65. 65 square is 4225. 76 is 67 square. 67 square is 4489. 80 square is 6400. 95 square is 9025, and 90 square is 8100. And then you have to find x multiplied by y Okay, x multiplied by y, that means 60 multiplied by 65 is 3900. 70 multiplied by 67, 4690. 80 multiplied by 80, 6400. 85 multiplied by 95 is 8075, and the last one is 8550. Now you have to find the summation for all the values in the first row, which is the sum of x. So the sum of x is 390, and the sum of the second row is the sum of y, 397. The sum for the third row is the sum of x square. So the sum of x square is 31150. This is the sum of y square. The sum of y square is 32239. And for the last row is the sum of xy. Okay, the sum of xy. The sum of xy is 31615. Okay, now we need all this information to find the value of A and B. Okay, you just have to substitute in the formula, okay, to find the value of A, estimated value of A. So from the formula to find A, the sum of y multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x multiplied by the sum of xy divide by n multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x. All these you have to square. Okay, now you have to simplify, substitute and simplify. The sum of y is 397 multiplied by the sum of x square is 31150 minus the sum of x is 390 multiplied by the sum of xy is 31615 divide by n is now 245. The sum of x square is 31150 minus the sum of x is 390, then square. Okay, now you just have to simplify to find the value of this one, A. So the value of A is 10.058. Okay, this is for A. And next we have to find the value of B, estimated value. So B is n multiplied by the sum of xy minus the sum of x multiplied by the sum of y divide by n multiplied by the sum of x square minus the sum of x. All this we have to square. Okay, so now we have to substitute all the values here. N is 5. The sum of xy is 31615 minus the sum of x is 390 multiplied by the sum of y is 397 divide by n is 5. The sum of x square is 31150 minus the sum of x is 390, then square. Now you just have to simplify this, and the answer is 0.889. is 0.889. So to find the equation for this regression line is y hat is equal to a plus bx. So the value of a is 10.058 plus b is 0.889. Is 0.889, x. So this is the equation of the regression line. So the question can ask you to apply this equation to estimate or to predict any value between 60 to 95. Okay, for example, the question can ask you to predict the grade, okay, statistic grade y, when the value of x is, let's say, 82. Okay, so when x is 82, the question can ask you to estimate the value of y. So now you just have to substitute in this formula. When x is 82, y hat is equal to 10.058 plus 0.889 multiplied by 82. So 0.889 multiplied by 82, then plus 10.058. So the estimated value for y hat is equal to 82.956. So this is the application of the regression line. Okay, the regression, you have to define the equation of the regression, the line, then we can estimate any value, but not very far from the given data. Okay, all right, that's all for this e-lecture. For the next e-lecture, we will give more and more example on this example for this chapter. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.